Hey, how you doing? Brandon here, Lab Director, Global Energy Laboratories. Do you have frac sand? Episode number 2, sphericity and roundness testing. So the perfect frac sand is round and spherical like a marble. It's hard like a diamond, and it's the right size, just like the customer wants. Of course, in reality, our sands are never going to be perfect, but there are some sands out there that have pretty darn high sphericity and roundness qualities to them. And how does yours measure up? Well, the test is two parts. Sphericity is how close does the sand particle approach the shape of a sphere? And roundness is how angular is it? Does it have sharp, pronounced angles on the sand particle, or are there hardly any noticeable angles? And the way that you can determine roundness and sphericity is it's kind of old school. Got to go back in time, 1963. A couple soil scientists, Krumbein and Sloss, developed this chart. And here's the chart right here up on the screen. And this chart is still used today. And what we do is estimate how round and spherical the sand particles are. We randomly select 20 or more grains, view them through our microscope. Here's someone looking through a microscope. And what you do is you compare the sand particles in the field of view to that Krumbein and Sloss chart, and you keep doing that for all the grains, doing it very meticulously and carefully to make sure that you don't get off onto another grain, that you're capturing the quality of each grain. And then what we do is we average the readings for those 20 plus randomly selected particles, and we develop a roundness and sphericity quality. And the American Petroleum Institute recommends in their standard recommended practices that both the roundness and sphericity be zero point 0.6 or greater to be used for fracturing. And again, that zero point 0.6 comes from that Krumbein and Sloss chart, and looking at 20 plus particles, finding the average, etc. Now, what do you want to look for in the lab that you hire? Okay, big things with this test. You want to make sure the lab is clean. You want to make sure that they are actually analyzing your sand. And then you want to make sure that they're doing a good amount of sample splitting. And what sample splitting is, you use a splitter, especially built for splitting apart and splitting down to make smaller samples out of a larger sample size. What I do, I pour it in the top of the splitter, and it splits it into two roughly equal parts randomly. And this randomizes the sample so that you get a representative small sample that you know is representative of the larger sample. And this just makes sure that what we're getting is going to be common throughout your entire all your sand. The technician, you want them to be well trained and follow the procedure exactly. And if possible, perhaps team members can critique each other on their sphericity and roundness readings and judgment and skill, and you'll get an accurate reading.